Sure. I wanted to ask on the DRC, the killing of 2 civilians or protesters on the 25th. There's some that are saying that it was in saying this, that it was in a protest of the Uruguayan battalion in Goma, and that the Uruguayans fired into the crowd. Where does the UN respond to that in terms of was there firing into the crowd? And also there's been this reference to ethnic tension there, including in a U.S. State Department statement. I wanted to know, what's MONUSCO doing? Is it, as some people describe it, mobs targeting Rwandaphone residents of Goma, and what's being done to protect them?
Well, first of all, the point of what the mission is doing right now is to support the Congolese armed forces in protecting the civilian population of Goma, which means the entire civilian population of Goma. And they will continue to go about its task to make sure that the civilian population cannot be shot at, will not be in the firing line from outside forces such as the M23. At the same time, yes, we've been working also to make sure that the parties can resolve their tensions through a diplomatic framework. In other words, through the framework agreement, and Mary Robinson is going about her work, and you'll have seen the statement that she put out over the weekend. Regarding your question about the incident in which people had been shot at, I believe that the UN mission, MONUSCO, has an inquiry underway, and will await the results of that inquiry.
Okay, I just want to ask one follow-up on that, and it's kind of I really appreciate your answer to this. I mean, the idea is that MONUSCO is there to protect civilians, but there's some civilians there that feel that the FARDC is part of the problem, and I'll point to the rapes in Minova, but there are other ones as well, including there are reports of civilians hit by FARDC attack helicopters in the last few days. So I'm wondering, is there any gap? Does MONUSCO have a duty to protect civilians from the FARDC? That's my question.
Its duty is to protect civilians. If there are problems with the FARDC, as you've seen in past incidents, we try to investigate those and try to make sure that there's follow-up so that the Congolese armed forces are also not part of the problem. But at the same time, our basic focus is just to make sure that innocent people will not be fired upon. In this case, you have a very large city, Goma, that has been put in harm's path again. And the entire point is to keep them out of the line of fire, and that is what the UN mission is trying to do. Yes.
So I want to ask about USG Feltman and then about Sri Lanka. On Mr. Feltman, I know it was said that Eduardo on his last day said that USG Feltman met with saw or met with the Muslim Brotherhood, but there continue to be stories from their spokesperson that they weren't reached out to and weren't met with. So I wanted to know if you could say who he met with, and I also wanted you to confirm that he's on his way to Iran and know what his objectives are there.
Yes, one of the stops on his itinerary is in fact Iran, and while in Iran, the Undersecretary General does intend to discuss the broader situation in Syria.
Okay, what about this Muslim Brotherhood question? Is it possible to know how far? It seems kind of important given that they were the party
removed. I don't have anything to add to what Eduardo said yesterday. He gave the details that we had. Yes.
In his itinerary, Mr. Feldman will stop by Lebanon too?
I don't have a Lebanon trip to confirm at present. If we have further stops to mention, we'll let you know at the time that becomes at the time that we have that information.
Sure. I wanted to ask the Navi Pillay is in Sri Lanka, and there are reports of a protest at the UN facilities there of her visit, and I wanted to know, is that true? What do you have to say about that? And also, just to close, when Mr. Ohea Quintana was in Myanmar, I understand your office put a statement saying that it would be legitimate to protest, but it shouldn't be violent. I just wanted to know what the final kind of readout is. The government of Myanmar said that there was no attack on Mr. Quintana whatsoever. It was an attempt to deliver a letter, and he, as a UN Special Rapporteur, continues to insist that his car was mobbed. So I know that they're sort of on the topic of the protection of human rights officials when they visit these countries, but what can you say about the Sri Lanka one, and is there any more on Myanmar in terms of what actually happened?
I don't have any comment on the Sri Lanka one. I suggest you check with Ms. Pilay's office. Regarding Mr. Quintana, Mr. Ohea Quintana, and any officials, we of course would ask all parties to refrain from attacks on officials as they go about their work. That's it. Have a good afternoon.